At the end of Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest, Captain Jack Sparrow is faced with a choice. He can abandon his friends and his beloved Pearl for the safety of dry land, or he can try and defend his ship and crew, almost certainly at the cost of his own life. In one of the best moments of the Pirates trilogy, the mythical captain chooses to face down his greatest fear. He picks up the gun, takes aim, and temporarily sends the legendary Kraken back to the depths to lick its wounds. You could argue that Jack turns back because he loves the Pearl, or that it was the compass that directs his course, but ultimately the decision was a matter of identity. If Jack runs from the Kraken, he would cease to be Jack Sparrow. He needs to fight the Kraken the same way the knight in shining armor needs to fight the dragon. So after breaking free from Elizabeth's chains, Jack stares down his tentacled nemesis and enthusiastically goes down fighting, like the hero he knows himself to be. The identity of Rango at the start of his titular film is as complete as his headless companion. He has no friends, no enemies, and no landscape to explore. He's trapped in a glass box with only his imagination for company. And with that imagination, Rango dreams of the spotlight being turned towards his life. It could be as a sea captain, a nod to Jack Sparrow, an Australian adventurer, or a Spanish guitar strumming romantic. He's a chameleon, the specifics aren't that important. All that matters is that his life is transformed from solitary safety to accompanied adventure. Instead of Jack's open sea, Rango is given the American West to mold his new persona, a landscape that's blessed us with some of the most legendary characters in film history. But what Rango figures out shortly after being set free from his cage is that becoming a hero is not a stress-free enterprise. Captain Jack Sparrow didn't become Captain Jack Sparrow by mopping up the deck of someone else's ship. His legend was built by courage in the face of long odds, courage that can seem like madness to men outside of the world Rango wants to become a part of.
You're mad.
Thank goodness for that, because if I wasn't, this would probably never work.
As Rango's world grows larger, as does his capacity for fear. In the desert, his greatest dread is no longer an underwhelming performance by Mr. Timms. It's a horrific death in the talons of a hawk, or as we'll soon find out, bad monetary policy. Rango's dream is visually similar to Jack's brief stay in Davy Jones' locker, but their fears reflect the opposite stages that they're in. Jack, as the established legend, fears being cut off in the ocean and adventure. Rango, the nobody forging a new identity, fears the dangers he knows he's destined to face. Once Jack Sparrow is set free from his prison, the mission offered to him is the same one that will propel Rango to mythical status. Tyrannical businessmen are conquering the world with handshakes and promises of material comfort, and they have to be stopped. Rango and At World's End have a fixation with confinement. Both movies open with imprisoned characters. Calypso is trapped in human form, Will's father is trapped in the Flying Dutchman, Davy Jones is enslaved to Beckett, and of course the entire town of Dirt is enslaved to those who control the water. When you think about the typical hero's journey, usually the hero is trying to bring order to chaos. And Rango and At World's End do have forces of chaos that need to be fought, like Rattlesnake Jake and Davy Jones, who are both voiced by the fantastic Bill Nye. But Jones and Jake are both pillars of the fairy tale. Every hero needs a villain, they're just the other side of the coin. Lord Beckett and the Mayor are alien forces who threaten to destroy the entire world of myth, which is why the film presents them as the true villains who need to be defeated. No scene in either movie displays this message better than when Jack Sparrow comes across the Kraken's beached carcass. This is the beast that killed him, but he isn't happy to see it as lifeless bird food. It was dangerous and chaotic, but unique, a leviathan with no equal. If Beckett can eliminate the most powerful creature in the story, then the story must be coming to an end. It takes time for Rango to recognize the danger of the mayor and the transactional world he represents, although this one shot tips the audience off. But Rango must go on a long investigative journey through the West to find clues and develop his own heroic persona, which Jack already has at the beginning of At World's End. He needs to make the holster fit. Once Rango's incorruptible sheriff persona is developed and the culprits become clear, he's invited on a golf outing by the mayor. And similar to how Rango struggles to use a gun at the start of the story, he's unable to play the sophisticated game of the mayor. He doesn't fit in the world of industry. The mayor and Beckett offer their counterparts a role in the new world that they're building. we get nearly identical negotiation scenes where the following choice is offered to the heroes: join my new world, or get left behind with the others. Now, both characters choose to fight on behalf of the mythic, but their motivations are partially self-serving. Rango wants to fight for justice to solidify the identity he's adopted, and Jack wants to fight because striking a deal with Beckett means he'll lose the chance to kill Jones and become immortal. But then they receive advice that changes how they see their role in the story. After humiliation at the hands or tail of Jake, Rango ventures to the other side of the road and finds the spirit of the West, embodied by the most iconic of Western characters. Rango tells the spirit that he's a fraud who can never be the hero the town needs, and the wisdom of the response is the launching pad for Rango's return.
Don't you see? It's not about you. It's about them.
It's Jack's father, Captain Teague, who gives his son parallel advice. Jack tells his dad that they're both survivors and asks him if that's not the most important thing, survival. Captain Teague then enlightens Jack by altering the conventional wisdom on immortality.
The trick is living with yourself forever.
These words return to Jack when Davy Jones's heart beats in his palm. He's one flick of the wrist away from becoming an immortal legend of the sea, but fulfilling that desire would come at the cost of Will Turner's life. In the end, he chooses to live with himself forever. Rango's return to dirt is also sacrificial in nature. He doesn't decide to face down Jake in the mirror to become an immortal drifter like the man with no name. He goes back because he's truly the town's only hope. If he doesn't muster up the courage to fight, they will be under the mayor's thumb forever. After these selfless decisions are made, both stories conclude with the myth breaking free from the chains of materialistic order. The Dutchman sends the Endeavor and its captain to the locker. Jake carries the mayor off into the wasteland for a painful demise. Forces that used to threaten our heroes turn against the true villains. Gore Verbinski uses the sea and the Wild West to make a point about life in the modern world. The global map has been completely filled in. You can even see almost any point in the world with the magic of satellites. It took 6,000 years of human civilization to reach this point, and many explorers have made their names immortal during the process. In the aftermath of these discoveries and the expansion of global trade, living standards improved significantly. Life expectancy in early 18th century England, which is when At World's End takes place, was in the late 30s, and expectancy in the Wild West wasn't much higher. On a societal level, Verbinski's films warn of tyranny imposed by those at the top of this new pyramid, and that is a relevant concern. But it's at the individual level that the dangers of comfort are most pronounced. Our lives are more comfortable, but that comfort does come at a cost. Comfort and security can become a prison, a lonely one. For Rango and Jack to become the sacrificial heroes they need to be for their friends, they have to venture into dark caves. Mistakes are made along the way, of course. There's sadness, disappointment, shame, but nothing moves up in a straight line. No quote from Rango is more memorable than this one from the Spirit of the West.
No man can walk out on his own story.
It's a romantic notion nowadays. The cynical response is, well, a bus could go over the curb and kill me tomorrow. Bad luck can end any story at any time. And yes, all of us could be taken out by a bus tomorrow. But the more likely danger is that we hide in our terrariums or venture out with the wrong motivations. At World's End and Rango begin with captivity and end with freedom. Jack embarks on another adventure. The town of Dirt no longer revolves around the next sip of water. Both results are won by embracing the life of danger and adventure, the hero's journey, instead of a life of tea and golf, which inevitably turns you into this. As Calypso declares in At World's End, men pursue the sea perilous though it is. The sea, or Western frontier, is different for everyone. It could be a career, a relationship, a religion, many different things. If the fear of losing comfort and stability is in the way of setting sail, we aren't free. At some point, we have to let Mr. Timms go and discover who we're meant to be. Alright guys, thanks for sticking around if you've made it this far. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like it in the future. And if you've seen either movie, drop your favorite quote below. Thank you so much for stopping by. I will talk to you soon. Take care.